What's good, Internet? My name is Attack Slug, and welcome to my WWE Survivor Series 2017 predictions video. The one night of the year that Raw and SmackDown go head-to-head, except for the Honor Battle Royal and except for the Royal Rumble. But no, forget those. This is the one time of year. Those don't count. Anyway, we have 8 matches on our card announced thus far. It is Thursday afternoon as I film this. They've only announced one match for the 2-hour kickoff show, so I would assume at some point they're going to announce more matches between when I record this and the actual show begins. If I could make a suggestion, how about Elias versus Aiden English? Both running kind of a very similar gimmick, one on Raw, one on SmackDown. That'd be great. Most likely they will toss together some kind of battle royal or something. Anyway, let's get on to the predictions. We have on our kickoff, actually announced, we have your Cruiserweight Champion Enzo Amore versus the good Lucha Things Kalisto in a rematch for the Cruiserweight title. The only title match on the card, the only not Raw versus SmackDown match on the card, and I see no reason for Enzo, who is the cornerstone of that division right now, to lose the belt again. Last time was because Neville had walked out. They wanted to kind of do a surprise thing for Eddie's birthday, but this time, no such luck. So Enzo retains, perhaps shenanigans, perhaps Drew Gulak does his thing, how are you doing, etc., etc. So yes, Enzo retains. Moving on to the main show. So right now there are 7 matches on the main show, which means that either Raw or SmackDown will be victorious. If there were 8 matches, they could have a tie, but that is not the case here. So, let's run down this list, shall we? As always, this stuff is hard to call, because unlike most feuds with, main roster things with guys who are going to fight for perhaps a little bit, or we know kind of where they're going to go, what direction they're going to go in, these kind of don't have any real consequence. There's no real, alright, well, if this guy loses, then what's next for him? Because he's going to keep on going to his own brand and not a different brand, so kind of who cares? So, The Miz versus Baron Corbin is the only match on this card that has not changed since the original booking for this show. Everything else has changed. And on The Miz's side, he has the Miztourage. He has Axel and he has Bo Dallas in his corner. And Corbin has Corbin. So I think Miz here wins the match because of outside shenanigans. Unless Baron Corbin is booked strongly enough to overcome the interference from the Miztourage, which is doubtful, considering he had that backstage heat and whatnot. I think it's a very good chance that Miz wins this belt. After having spent some time losing here, Miz needs a little bit of heat back. So I put it on the Miz, as Corbin continues to feud with Sin Cara, of all people. Anyway, that brings us to our next match. It is the goddess of the WWE, Alexa Bliss, versus the Queen, Charlotte Flair. And this one obviously changed because it was Alexa versus Natalya, and then Natalya just lost the belt to Charlotte on SmackDown a couple of days ago. So, I think the ideal situation here would probably be having Alexa win, even though Charlotte is obviously in a fair one-on-one match. It would be Charlotte all the freaking way. But you have to, at some point, build more toward Charlotte and Natalya at Starrcade, that house show, in a few weeks. And you also have the looming cash-in of Carmella, who is Miss Money in the Bank. No longer with James Ellsworth because he got future endeavored, right? So, having thrown off the shackles of the Ellsworth as a lackey, I think that it is quite possible that Natalya will interfere in this match, costing Charlotte the win, and then beating her down, and then in comes Carmella to cash in. You get your grudge match between Charlotte and Natalya in a steel cage at Starrcade, and you crown your new women's champion, Carmella. I think even without the outside interference, even without the cash in, there's a good chance that Alexa Bliss wins this match. So, moving on to one of the easiest matches to predict on this card, and that is The Shield versus The New Day. Because we know the only reason to bring back the Shield was because they had no other options to make the crowd cheer for Roman freaking Reigns. That was the only way it was going to happen. We already got Dean and Seth back on the same page. Here comes Roman, got the Shield, and then obviously there was that viral meningitis or mumps or whatever it was, and you couldn't have that original match for TLC, so now it is booked for a Shield versus the New Day, which two of the most popular and dominant factions in three-man wrestling in quite some time. And F5 to the phenomenal one, AJ Styles. But will he hit a rope break? Probably. That's a rope break. Yep. Anyway, this is the Shield. Like, you don't bring back the Shield and not have them win. Losing to the Shield is not going to hurt the New Day. It's not. It's going to be, alright, well, we lost. Keep on making jokes. Keep on being happy. The power of positivity. That's fine. So yes, the Shield here. Easy. Because you need to keep this positive reaction on Roman Reigns all the way up until WrestleMania, when he inevitably fights and defeats Brock Lesnar again and gets coronated at Mania again, and hopefully, maybe, people will cheer for him this time instead of booing him out of the building. So yeah, the Shield. Easy. Anyway, moving on. We have Tag Champs versus Tag Champs. We have Sheamus and Cesaro versus the Usos. And Sheamus and Cesaro are heading into the Uso Penitentiary. Both of these tags have been quite good as of late, and I enjoy them both. Now, I would have preferred Seth and Dean versus the Usos, because I think that's potentially a better match. But we still have... This match still has Cesaro, and Cesaro is still awesome. But the question is, Suplex City. The question is, who's going over here? And I think you totally play up the leg, ankle, whatever, the chop block injuries to Jey Uso from Chad Gable. But honestly, that's one of the ones on this card that could kind of go either way, and it's really difficult to say, alright, who's going to go over in this match, and whatever else. But taking pure wrestling, like, acumen into it, the fact that Sheamus is a former, multiple-time world champion, Cesaro has been a mid-card champion, and the Usos have only been tag champs, I don't know. It's hard to call. But F5, and it's over. Brock Lesnar, baby. Actually, thinking about it now, I'm going to say the Usos. Just because this has been all Raw so far, and I feel bad picking all Raw so far, but I don't know. I say Usos, just because SmackDown's going to need some wins, even though they kind of instigated this whole Under Siege thing. Anyway, moving on to a match that is really hard to call because they haven't announced all the competitors yet, as of Thursday afternoon. It is your traditional women's 5-on-5 Survivor Series matchup. Alicia Fox, Nia Jax, Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Asuka versus Becky Lynch, Naomi, Carmella, Tamina, and question mark, you would have thought Natalya. She lost the belt to Charlotte, but they haven't announced it, because who else is on SmackDown on that roster? You would have either Natalya or Lana. I know some folks will say, well, Paige. You don't bring Paige back for this match and have her on the opposite team of Asuka, because, come on. You're not going to bring up Asuka to the main roster and have you tout her undefeated streak and whatever else from NXT, and then put her in a 5-on-5 match for Survivor Series, and then pin her or tap her out. That's not going to happen. That would be insane. That would be really terrible booking. So I'm not even going to get into the particulars here, because Team Raw for the women wins this match. That's just, come on now. Easy. Easy peasy. Anyway, moving on to this match. Your traditional 5-on-5 men's match for Survivor Series. It is your captain, Kurt Angle, and Braun, and Finn, and Joe, and Triple H on the Raw side versus your captain, Shane McMahon, John Cena, Randy Orton, Bobby Roode, and Shinsuke Nakamura. And I know, looking at the roster here, it looks so stacked on the Raw side. It looks like an inconceivable mountain to climb for Team SmackDown here, considering you have a team with Kurt Angle, the returning Olympic hero. You have Braun freaking Strowman. you have the Destroyer Samoa Joe and Triple H. And yeah, Finn Balor. But, like, just Kurt, Braun, Trips, Joe. Those are all beasts and badasses. And don't get me wrong. On SmackDown, you have your 16-time world champion, John Cena. You have Nakamura, the King of Strong Style. And you have Randy Orton, the Viper, right? Bobby Roode, unproven on main roster. And Shane is Shane. He's not a wrestler. So right there, you have 5 wrestlers versus 4 wrestlers and 1 boss guy, not a wrestler. Didn't have a long career like Kurt Angle. Did not win the Olympics with a breaking neck. But here's the thing. You have Triple H and you have Kurt Angle on the same team, right? And Steph has warned, oh, no, Raw has to win or Kurt gets fired from his job as GM, right? And the rumor has been eventually we're going to lead up to Kurt and Triple H at WrestleMania. Well, how do you get there? This is how you begin to get there. This is where you sow the seeds that ends up at Mania between Kurt and Triple H by somehow combustible elements combusting, and that costs Team Raw. Team SmackDown wins your men's 5-on-5 match, and that gets those stories going. Now, granted, SmackDown has both John Cena and Randy Orton, 2 bitter rivals on the same team, but John Cena's a part-timer. He's kind of not all there for Team SmackDown. It's kind of whatever. He flip-flops. That's not a big deal. And yeah, so also you have Finn and Joe who aren't getting along. That could also help cost Team Raw, but come on now. Triple H, Kurt Angle are going to just cost that team the match. And yeah, they have Braun Strowman, but when it comes down to Braun and, like, you know, the rest of Team SmackDown, he's probably going to lose. So that's not going to hurt Braun. If it's a bunch of guys versus Braun, it's not going to hurt Braun. And yeah, so I'm calling Team SmackDown for a 2-peat, baby. Anyway, your main event, or I'm assuming will be the main event because it's Brock Lesnar versus the phenomenal AJ Styles. And this one's not hard to call because they want to keep Brock. They want to keep Brock looking strong. They want to keep Brock looking as strong as possible until WrestleMania, where he will lose to Roman Reigns again. Because, you know, Roman Reigns is the anointed chosen one and whatever, right? So, how do you get there? Well, obviously, you have Jinder Mahal, the modern-day Maharaja, the former world champion on SmackDown, interfere and cost AJ the match, setting up their rematch and giving Brock Lesnar the win. Maybe even the Singh Bros. Maybe, just maybe, we'll get to see how far Brock can throw one of the Singh Bros. But Brock wins this match. That's not even in question. And I don't think it'll hurt AJ in the long run. As, like, there are ways to have matches, there are ways to lose and still look really good. As long as you put in a great match beforehand, the finish maybe not as important on a show like this. On a show where guys who are going to fight now and then, like, never again, or not until the next, you know, superstar shakeup, then this show kind of is inconsequential. Brand superiority, kind of inconsequential, and unlike bragging rights, there's no trophy, so kind of who cares. Anyway, that's Survivor Series. Even though the outcomes are kind of inconsequential, the actual match card, the actual booking here is amazing. This is a stacked show. This is a long show, and I'm hoping it will be a good show. As always, I'm Attack Slow. Leave your picks down in the comments below, and I'll see you next time and every day for more videos right here on this channel. And I'm out.